Apple getting a full slate of price target boosts across Wall Street. Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, JP Morgan, and Raymond James, just a few raising their outlooks on the shares. This coming, of course, after tech giant reporting earnings that beat forecasts, announced that new $110 billion share repurchase plan. There were really two things that stood out to me, Julie. One was the forecast. June revenue guidance, they told us that's going to be up single digits year over year. CFO Luca Maestri told us that actually before the call started yesterday. That was in line with the street, so a relief there, I think. And then, of course, as we mentioned, that capital return program, just a monster buyback, and that was more than many were looking for on the street. I was talking to analysts before that print, they were looking more for like 90 billion, so also a surprise there as well.
Yeah, the other thing that stands out to me in the analyst commentary is what people have to say about AI and generative AI. And that's sort of, I wouldn't call it all over the map, but there was some dispersion in opinions about what the company said because we have to sort of extrapolate what's going to happen. The company has not been very specific. And in fact, Laura Martin over at Needham says that has been a mistake. She says we retain our buy rating on Apple because we believe that they're working on Gen AI innovations, but just not communicating them. She says this is a flawed communication strategy in our view, but not fatal to fundamental value. On the flip side, you've got Bank of America in its note to investors, led by Wamsi Mohan today, saying that they're confident the company is well positioned in Gen AI. You got our buddy Dan Ives over at Wedbush saying he predicts an AI-driven supercycle starting with iPhone 16 this fall. But it's not because of anything that the company is specifically telling investors. There are sort of hints being dropped, right? Yeah. But there's not a lot of clarity on that strategy.
I would just, listen, I would just, my only point to that, counterpoint would be, if you're waiting for Apple to ever tell you exactly what's in their product pipeline, that is not how Cupertino rolls. I think in part what people are reacting to is, frankly, I was actually surprised Cook even talked as much as he did, even in those broad strokes, to talk about, their strengths in AI, and I think they do have strength. I think the fact that they control software, hardware, and chips does mean, in theory, they can pull the trigger and move pretty quick when they're ready to.
Well, and that what you're talking about there, that lack of clarity, because analysts are accustomed to it, that's why you still see that sort of level of confidence, I think.
Yeah, for sure.